At 2 o'clock in the morning, your thumb keeps swiping across a glowing screen while the rest of the world sleeps, and what feels like harmless scrolling is actually rewriting the deepest circuits of your brain in ways you never imagined. This is not some distant warning about technology. This is happening right now in the palm of your hand, and the changes it creates run far deeper than lost sleep or tired eyes. The story begins in the quiet blue light of your bedroom, where the clock shows 2 o'clock, yet your attention belongs entirely to an endless river of 15-second clips. You might struggle to finish a 2-hour movie, yet here you sit frozen by a flood of sizzling street food videos and wild conspiracy theories that refuse to let go. The reason hides inside your own neurochemistry, and once you understand it, you will never look at your phone the same way again. Picture yourself in that exact moment. The room is dark except for the sterile, ghostly blue glow. Your thumb moves in a perfect unconscious rhythm, swipe pause, like a digital heartbeat that has taken control of your night. This is the private prison of doomscrolling, where the walls are made from infinite short videos and the guards never sleep. The infinite scroll skips straight past the prefrontal cortex, the rational command center that normally helps you make wise choices. Instead, it runs on a constant drip of phasic dopamine, the feel-good chemical that surges strongest in the tiny fraction of a second before your thumb pushes the screen upward. You are not addicted to the videos themselves. You are addicted to the electric promise of whatever comes next, and that anticipation alone delivers a more powerful hit than the content ever could. But here is where everything starts to shift in a way most people never notice. Over weeks and months, your neural receptors begin a process called downregulation, a biological adjustment that dulls their sensitivity. Your brain essentially turns down the volume on its own pleasure system so that ordinary levels of stimulation no longer feel enough. What once satisfied you now leaves you restless, and the only cure seems to be faster, more chaotic videos arriving one after another. The For You page knows this about you better than you know yourself. It acts like a silent, invisible observer, studying every micro-behavior with frightening precision. It measures exactly how long your eyes linger on each clip, down to the millisecond. It notes whether your swipe is an impatient flick or a slow, guilty drag. Advanced computer vision even catches the exact instant your pupils widen or your eyebrows lift, and it instantly recalibrates the next piece of content to match your fragile midnight mood. The interface pretends to give you control, but that freedom is an illusion carefully engineered to keep you hooked. Its design copies the same mechanics used in casino slot machines, a system known as variable ratio reinforcement. The algorithm deliberately mixes in mediocre clips to build a slow frustration inside you, calculating your exact boredom threshold before it drops a perfect jackpot video tailored to your personal neurochemistry. Try to stop, and a sudden spike in cortisol floods your body, creating a physical unease that feels like an itch only one more scroll can scratch. This is not weakness on your part. This is a sophisticated psychological laboratory operating inside the device you carry everywhere, and its experiments are running on you in real time. Yet the real genius lies even deeper in the way the algorithm hijacks an ancient survival system wired into every human brain. Evolution gave us a seeking mechanism to hunt for food, shelter, and safety in the wild. Today, that same primal wiring lights up strongest during the silent, dark moment of the upward swipe. Each flick of your wrist whispers a promise of reward, and the dopamine spike that follows is often stronger than anything the actual video provides. You are forever hunting, never quite catching, and that endless chase is what makes the experience so intoxicating. Behind the smooth glass surface, the system builds something called a latent interest graph, a private psychological map drawn from every hesitation, every pause, and every tiny reaction. It learns the exact shape of your hidden loneliness and the precise triggers that spark your fleeting moments of joy. Then it reflects those discoveries back to you in video form before you have even put words to them yourself. Experimental frameworks used by the biggest platforms now decode your biology on an even more intimate level. Artificial intelligence watches through the pixels to study micro-expressions, the slight furrow of a brow or the fractional change in pupil size. This digital mapmaker reads the landscape of your emotions with startling accuracy. The moment engagement starts to dip, the system injects a perfectly timed visual jolt to shock your nervous system back into full attention. The feed never lets the spell break because the business model depends on your continued presence. Deliberate mediocrity plays a starring role here too. By sprinkling ordinary content throughout the stream, the algorithm creates a build-up that makes the sudden high arousal jackpot feel like an explosion of reward. This triggers what scientists call reward prediction error, a massive dopamine flood that temporarily silences the stopping signals in your prefrontal cortex. The logical voice inside your head gets drowned out by the primal urge to pull the lever just one more time. The biological cost of this constant bombardment is heavy, and it accumulates faster than most realize. To protect itself, your brain begins pruning dopamine D2 receptors and forming what amounts to a neurological callus. Tolerance rises quickly, so gentle stories, quiet reflections, or even the simple rhythm of a walk in nature stop registering as pleasurable. You now need increasingly intense, chaotic stimuli just to reach a normal baseline of amusement. This same process shows up in brain scans as a measurable thinning of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex and the orbitofrontal cortex, the very regions responsible for impulse control and long-term focus. It is as if the brake cables on a speeding car have started to rust, leaving the more reactive emotional centers in the driver's seat. For teenagers whose brains are still building connections until the mid-20s, this rewiring carries extra risk because it can delay the natural development of concentration and decision-making skills. Within minutes of scrolling, the brain slips into a flow-like state of dissociation. Sharp alert beta brainwaves soften into smoother alpha and theta rhythms, the same patterns seen in light hypnosis. Rapid visual cuts leave no room for internal dialogue, forcing the mind to process new information non-stop. Time itself begins to compress. Hours melt into minutes and you lose all sense of your physical body, floating instead in an endless present tense. This toxic flow bypasses your usual cognitive defenses and leaves you more open to suggestion than you would ever be in ordinary life. When you finally put the phone down, the world can feel strangely flat. Research shows that around 40% of younger people experience a noticeable wave of apathy and emotional blunting right after heavy sessions, as their brains struggle to readjust to the slower pace of reality. The physical sensation of paper, the scent of rain, or the simple pleasure of conversation suddenly seem low reward because the activation threshold for dopamine has been raised so high. These changes are not just temporary. Repeated exposure leads to structural neuroplastic adaptations that optimize the brain for rapid reactive impulses rather than deep sustained thinking. The ability to delay gratification weakens. Complex problem solving becomes harder because the mental architecture has been reshaped to favor quick context switches every 15 seconds. Temporal markers that normally help you track the passage of time get reset so frequently that users routinely underestimate how long they have been scrolling by more than 50%. You emerge disoriented, wondering where the night went, while the device in your hand has quietly harvested every micro-expression, every hesitation, and every swipe into data points that fuel an invisible global auction for human attention. The ultimate shift is perhaps the most unsettling of all. You stop feeling like a free individual choosing what to watch and start functioning as a biological component inside a vast algorithmic assembly line. Your neurons and restless thumbs have been turned into raw material powering an attention extraction economy. The screen is no longer a tool you control. It has become a tether that holds you, extracting the vital essence of your consciousness 1 millisecond at a time. Cognitive autonomy erodes without you noticing because every action feels voluntary, even though the architecture has been designed to make stopping feel almost impossible. And yet, knowing how the mechanism works gives you the first real chance to reclaim some power. Small deliberate choices such as setting strict time boundaries, using grayscale mode, or replacing late-night scrolling with a physical book can begin to reverse the downregulation process. The brain remains remarkably plastic even after years of habit, and it can learn to find joy in slower, richer experiences again. The same seeking system that once kept our ancestors alive can be redirected toward curiosity about the real-world conversations that matter and creative pursuits that build rather than drain mental energy. The glowing rectangle does not have to remain a digital slot machine. With awareness, it can return to being a simple portal you open and close on your own terms. The deeper truth revealed by years of careful study is that these platforms did not accidentally create such powerful hooks. They engineered them with the best minds in neuroscience, computer science, and behavioral psychology working together. Every variable ratio reinforcement, every micro-behavior tracked, every dopamine spike calculated represents an intentional design choice in the service of keeping eyes glued and data flowing. Recognizing this does not mean rejecting technology entirely. It means approaching it with the respect and caution it deserves as one of the most sophisticated tools ever built for influencing human thought and emotion. The researchers, neuroscientists, and cognitive scientists who have mapped these processes deserve our deepest gratitude. Their work has illuminated the hidden machinery of modern attention, and in doing so they have given every one of us the knowledge needed to protect the most precious resource we own, our own minds. Thanks to their dedication, the path toward healthier digital habits is now clearer than ever before, and the future of how we live with technology can be shaped by informed choice rather than silent addiction. The next swipe is yours to decide.